As a black man and a father, we normally tell our kids what to look out for, especially when it comes to dealing interactions with the police. Now, in this particular situation, it was just horrible all around. You have a police officer that was doing his job, quote unquote. You have a kid that was a victim of a man that was her mother's boyfriend, or his mother's boyfriend. A mother who was also a victim twice over. There's nothing good or redeeming about this story. And I remember I first read about it because when you first heard about Sonia Massey, it brought attention to Terrell Miller. And I read the description of what happened. The description that I read does not do justice to what the footage showed. And I'm grateful that the footage did blur out a lot of parts. But it did leave me with some questions. And one of the questions was, or that I do have is, how come he didn't receive any consequences? And when I say he, I mean Lieutenant Officer Nick Goc. Now, Nick Goc is pretty high in command. He's a lieutenant. And when I was looking into the Macomb Police Department, their website, and a list of people that's on there, and he's still on there, by the way. In fact, he's 4th in command, it seems like. Chief of Police, Operations Commander, Lieutenant Investigator, Lieutenant. That's him. The man was awarded Officer of the Year. And part of what made him such a quote-unquote great officer, apparently, is his background and training. Experienced training officer with a demonstrated history of working with new law enforcement industry, skilled in firearms handling, police officers, public safety, law enforcement, and homeland security. Strong community and social service professional with a Bachelor of Science, focused in criminal justice law, administrator of West Illinois University. And then you get into his experience. Member of the multi-traditional strategic response team for service narcotics, service warrants, and other tactical operations. Now, when I think of tactical operations, of course, I'm going to think of pretty much training, right? You're going to be well trained to know when to use your firearm, discharge your firearm, things of that nature, right? And here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about this. He is responsible for training and mentoring new hire officers in the Macomb Police Department. So you would think an officer, and I've never been through police training personally, but let's say, I don't know how it is in Illinois, but in Florida, you gotta get a permit to have a concealed carry permit. And you can go about getting it two ways. You go to a state fair, or you can go to a class, and the class pretty much puts you through course, knowing how to handle and shoot the weapon, things of that nature. And sometimes they even have tactical training for civilians. And the way they run through courses and things of that nature. Now, one of the big things is knowing when to discharge your firearm. Now, I'm not a police officer. I'm not in that situation. And when you first look at the tape or the body cam footage and you see them going in there, you automatically know it's a bad situation. And I'm not going to play none of the footage on here because it was just too hard to watch. I normally try to watch footage multiple times, but this particular time I only could watch it maybe twice. As soon as you go in, he's going up the door. You see red paint on the walls, if you know what I mean. Red paint on the walls. He makes it through the door. You see the woman run out after she said she was being stabbed multiple times. Then you see a man who appeared to be in his birthday suit holding something that you would normally cut a steak with, a knife, a very large knife. Now you would think at that particular moment that would be the proper time to fire your firearm, right? I would think that would be the appropriate time to do that is when you see a man who is not clothed holding a knife, very frantic, and a woman bleeding, running out bleeding. But instead, he allows him to dash over and grab the kid that was crying and yelling. And that was the heartbreaking part. Because that little kid's last moment of life was of him being terrorized, seeing his mom hurt, seeing some guy that's in that house hurting him. His last moments on earth was not peaceful, and he was only 4 years old, about to be 5. I mentioned in another video, his birthday was the 18th. He would have been 5 years old. And here he is, being held by a man. The officer finally decided to fire off a round. Just one round. It wasn't multiple rounds, just one. Just that one was more than enough. The officer had an opportunity and a clean shot under a forehead to do so, but he waited until the man dashed off and grabbed the kid. Again, I'm not an officer. I would like to think that in that situation, if I see a man, if I see a woman running out bloody, and a man holding a weapon who is not clothed, and hear a kid screaming, I would think that would be the appropriate time for me to fire off something when he was in the middle of the hallway by himself. But giving him that opportunity to dash and grab the kid, and you see the man holding the kid up to his chest. I just don't know. I'm not a lawyer. What could you charge that cop with? I mean, at the very least, you would think he'll be on administrative leave. I haven't read any consequences for his actions. Nothing. Did that man deserve to lose his life? 100%. But did that boy? No. And I think that boy losing his life is more than enough to justify Officer Lieutenant Goc to go through some training, to be on suspension, to have something done to him. To have something done to him. And again, when you see stuff like this, I know people are going to be quick to say that he just didn't value black lives. And that very well could be true in a sense. And what I mean by that, people always have racial biases when it comes to dealing with people, whether they like to admit it or not. But in this particular situation, a man who is training police officer, who is tactical trained, have all these years of experience, the fourth in command in the department, you would think he would have enough discernment to shoot a man, to fire off at a man apparently I lost connection. Wow. Apparently, I lost connection, so I'm sorry about that. But he waited until he had the boy. Why did he wait? Why were there no consequences for her? No demotion, no suspension, no retraining, not even a trial. Now, I know this would be hard, if I'm being honest. I know how this would be hard to get him convicted in trial. If I'm being 100% honest, it's not like it's a Sonya Master where that man was clearly in the wrong and he provoked the situation being in a woman's house he had no business being in and putting shots in her face. This was a situation where he was trying to do the right thing and he waited too long to do the right thing, and it cost a young boy his life. So yes, he is responsible in that sense. And I know that sounds unfair, but that's the job that you take on whenever you become an officer of the law. It's not always fair. That's what you sign up for, and you're high up in the ranks in that department. I'm just curious. If you was our officer going through the door, and you saw, before you went through the door, because you had to bust in, you heard screaming, a woman saying she's being stabbed. You see this woman running, and she tells you her son is back there. She told him his son is back there. Her son is back there, excuse me. And then you see the man holding a weapon, and you hear the kid screaming. Why not fire off right then and there? That's the part that doesn't, I can't wrap my mind around that part. Why not fire right then and there? I mean, let's be real. You have all the time in the world. Why not fire right then and there? You had a woman that, okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Okay? So you hear the woman screaming that he's stabbing me. Okay. You bust into the door. You see her run. Clearly she's bleeding. You see an undressed man in the middle of the hallway, a clear shot holding a weapon, and she even says, my son is back there. And you don't fire off at the man right then and there. Why not? That doesn't make any sense to me. But instead, you wait for him to dash and grab the boy, hold him up, and then you decide to fire one shot. Why then? Why not before we had a clear shot? And this is the officer of the year, the fourth in command of that department, the man who trains other people how to use their weapons and how to be a police officer. Yet he cannot sit here and make a judgment call when he has an open shot on somebody who's clear and guilty. I know going into that house, that apartment, you see the red paint on the walls, you hear the screams, you're going to be at an elevated level. Was it? But when you are that tenured, I would think you would do better. And I would think the city will hold him accountable in some way, shape, or form because of his position. He's not a rookie cop. He's not inexperienced in any way, shape, or form. He's the one that trains people. He's the one that has Homeland Security training or work with them. He's the one that's fourth in command. He heard that woman say, my son is back there. You see a man undressed holding a weapon right then and there. While you can see her bleeding, why not take out the threat right then and there? Why not take out the threat right then and there? I know it's always easier to say, what if this is what I would have done, etc., etc. And I'm not trying to do that at all. But what I am trying to say is that with somebody that has that much experience, he should be able to do better than anything that I could think of. The boy was about to have a birthday on July 18th. It would have been 5. Sometimes when you see stuff in the world, it makes you realize how evil the world is. And one more thing I'm definitely curious about is what happened after the shot. What was his reaction? Because they didn't show the shot. They had a lot of that blurred, which I'm glad they did that, because that probably gave me restless nights. But what was his reaction after the shot? I didn't hear any remorse because they cut ahead. Because they was trying to give aid. They showed them trying to give aid. But I just want to hear, was he trying to, did he give remorse? Did he panic, feel a little frantic, anything? Was there any emotions there at all? Did it hit him that his inability or his lack of action caused a 4-year-old boy to lose his life? I think it hits harder because I'm a father myself. And, you always worry about this kind of stuff, because you can't protect your kid from the world. And the world is definitely going to come after your kids. But this is a parent's worst nightmare, especially a black parent, because let's be real here, we're already on eggshells around police officers in general. Especially when you're a male. When you're a black male, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. You're disrespected by your women. You're disrespected and hated by other black people. White people try to hold you down. Other immigrants don't respect you because white people didn't spit on you. It's just a whole lot of stuff that when you're a black man, you take so much. So this kid, this innocent boy, lost so much. Now, nothing came out about the mother. I know this is probably going to make people mad that I say this. Nothing came out about the mother and her history with the boyfriend, right? How long they've been together, if they have a history of, fighting and violence and things of that nature. I'm assuming so they do if it got to the point of her being stabbed. One thing I'm very grateful for Bodycam footage is because it really does help shed a light onto just how we are treated, what we go through. And this is only a fraction of it because they can turn off their cameras anytime they want to. I remember when I became a father, I became very, very selective of who I dated or who I was in relationships with. And one thing I can honestly say, I did not allow any woman to come around my daughter. I didn't introduce a woman to my daughter until it was the woman I chose to marry. And it'll be interesting. I know plenty of single fathers. I was a single father for the longest time. I know single fathers that will use their kids to help them get women, to help them pick up, women and get dates and things of that nature. That was never me. I never wanted women to be around my daughter just for the fact that I didn't know who they were. I wanted to vet them. I wanted to, test them. I wanted to get to know them. I wanted to learn about them. Compare that to this situation in the mother. I know we all get lonely at times, but I'm grateful that I chose to keep women away from my daughter because, people are crazy. You never know what they're going to do. I always say you truly never know anybody. No matter who you're with, you only see a fraction of who they are. Because people always have a history before you, and they have a hidden history while they're with you. You never truly know anybody. So when I waited until to introduce a woman to my daughter, then my daughter was like 12 or 13. She was in middle school. And again, that was the woman I chose to marry. Now, did me and her work out? No. But even at our worst, she never mistreated my daughter. I never had to worry about her mistreating my daughter. And I appreciated that. I truly do. Because seeing stuff like this, people don't always think about the consequences of our actions with the people that we bring into our lives. I think I'm just rambling at this point. I'm going to wrap it up, but boy's about to be 5 years old. The officer had a clean shot but didn't take it. And I like to think he had a way more than enough justification to fire off as soon as he went into the door. Again, red paint on the walls. Knocking on the door, hearing the woman screaming, he's stabbing me. Breaking into a door, the man is fully in his birthday suit, holding a knife. You see a woman bleeding, frantic, screaming out her son's back there. That is the perfect opportunity, in my opinion, to go ahead and do what you have to do as an officer of the law that's empowered by the city and state. But he chose to wait. And him waiting caused a boy to miss his 5th birthday and all the other birthdays after that. Anyways, I doubt anybody really watched this long, and that's fine if you didn't, but like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you.